Hello there, Romans here, and welcome to my next music review. Today it's going to be Jack White, Boarding House Reach.
Music review. Music review.
Jack White is an artist whose reputation pretty much precedes him, and he's probably most famous from the White Stripes, sort of a retro rock and roll group that was pretty popular in the early 2000s. I must confess I haven't really listened to any of their records, neither have I listened to any of his solo records. I know quite some songs, but I've decided to take this new record as a sort of a starting point for me. So without further ado, let's look at the new album, which is coming out on the 23rd of March and which I've heard 9 times already. The album opens up with a song Connected by Love, for which a promotional video was shot. I really like the beginning synth line with some sort of a tremolo. This is a very David Bowie type of a song. I really like the percussions, I like the gospel vocals. And interesting thing, not just about this song, but about pretty much the whole record, is that it's really based on all those sounds. The production is really amazing. You've got a lot of different electronic elements, but yet at the same time you've got some old school sounds. Like for example here you've got that Hammond solo, which kind of gives it very old school feeling. So it's like you've got that kind of balance between modern sounds and all those sounds that make this record very up to date, and sounds that kind of remind you of old school music. I really like his passionate singing in this song. There are moments when he reminds me of Jared Leto, if he sang in the lower notes, and he's got that sort of like problems with chord closure, and it's like his voice cracks a little bit, but it's very natural and it sounds kind of interesting. It's probably the only song with a sort of a traditional song structure, like you've got verse, chorus. The next track is called Why Walk a Dog. It's a song that has a very electronic vibe. It sounds very modern, yet again you've got those sort of old school sounds, for example the church organ. And this is a song that is kind of like without development. It's pretty much the same pattern throughout the whole song, but I like how it maintains atmosphere. The third track, Corporation, has that sort of a James Brown feeling at the beginning, and I like that overdriven keyboard sound. And you've got that guitar riff that kind of reminds me of the song Cowboys from Hell from Pantera. The production is just really huge, as I've mentioned already. This is a song that's for like 3 minutes pretty much instrumental. And then when the singing starts, it's not even singing, it's more like talking and shouting. And you've got some screams that are electronically modified or pitch shifted, call it whatever you want. And it gives it very interesting feeling. It's kind of artificial, but it really works. I'm not sure how that would be performed live, but it sounds really very, very interesting. The fourth track is a short one. It's called Abulia and Akrasia, and it has a very folk feeling, kind of reminds me of the Slovak or Hungarian folk music, especially because of the violin at the beginning. Hyper-missiophoniac or however the song is pronounced, is a song that kind of mixes electronic sounds with jazz piano, and later on the song gets into more bluesy territory. It's also a pretty interesting track. I-Station Zebra is yet again more about those sounds rather than about some melodies, and it's got some heavy beat, there's some rapping, it's very avant-garde sounding, and this is a song where I realized, like, apart from Connected by Love, most of the songs don't really have any song structure. It's not like there's a certain pattern you can follow, like verse, bridge, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus. It's just kind of a random at times. Over and Over and Over is a song that is probably the closest thing to the White Stripes you can get. This is due to the fact that the song was written in 2005, and he was planning to put that song on a White Stripes record, but somehow the song was left behind and he decided to use it now. I really love that riff at the beginning that has a very gated fuzz. This is something that I use quite a lot on bass. It's awesome. This song is kind of like avant-garde, psychedelic, rock and roll with some gospel vocals, and it's interesting that those vocals are always modified electronically at the end, and it gives it very spooky feeling. And this is a song that really proves how amazing the production on this album is, because this is pretty much one riff the whole time. And despite that, there's just so much happening in this song. Everything You've Ever Learned is a song that has that late 60s psychedelia feeling. Yet again, there's more talking than actual singing. Respect Commander is slightly more rocking at the beginning. It's got a beat that reminds me of the song Immigrant Song from the Led Zeppelin, and later on it reminds me of Dazed and Confused from Led Zeppelin, especially because of that bass. It's yet again a song with some talking and shouting, and this is actually the only song, I believe, with a guitar solo. Esmeralda Steals the Show is a song that starts exactly in the same way as REM's Everybody Hurts, and you've got that one chord progression or one chord pattern that is repeated throughout the whole time on an acoustic guitar, and again you've got like a spoken word, very 60s psychedelia feeling. Get in the Mineshaft has a sort of a orchestral slash symphonic slash cinematic intro, and then you've got that beautiful synthy riff. I'm not sure if it was played on bass or on guitar using some synth pedal, or if it was played on an actual synth, but I love that sound. It sounds amazing. This is yet again a song that's slightly more instrumental. What's Done Is Done is, after a long time, finally a song with some singing. It's got a very country slash bluesy vibe, and this song feels like a perfect ending of the record because it kinda creates like this full circle with the song Connected by Love. Yet this is not the final track of the album. The final track on the album is called Humoresque, or Humoresque, which is a rendition of Dvořák's Humoresque, which is already a jazz song, but this version kind of gives it very jazz slash chanson, if I pronounce it right, chanson feeling, and it sounds kind of interesting with an actual melody sang in it, because it's an instrumental. It's one of my all-time favorite classical compositions. So to sum up, I think that this is a very interesting album. This whole record was recorded by Jack White alone, for the most part at his house, where he was... I was reading an interview... You too. I was reading an interview that he had some kind of a tape recorder or something, and he was trying to record the songs in a way that he wouldn't disturb neighbors. It's very experimental. This record is one huge experiment, and it's very important to say that this is definitely not a record for everybody. Even if you're a fan of Jack White, this is something that you might be pretty surprised with. If you haven't heard any of the singles he has released so far, that is. But I think that if you have, you may have some idea of how strange this record may get. This record requires you to be very open-minded. Even Jack White himself described this record as being very bizarre, and I pretty much agree with him. It's strangely beautiful, it's weirdly genius. I really love this record, even though that there are not really many melodies happening. This is really a record more about sounds. Even after the first listening, I just wanted to get back to the record again and just listen to it again. It really got my attention, and I just loved listening to this record. So, to sum up, I would personally give this record 10 points out of 10.
What?
Which may be kind of weird, but I just love this record. You know, maybe it's just me having heard so many records and so many things that are just being recycled and repeated, that a record that's so different just really is something for me. If you are more into traditional stuff, or if you're expecting something like his previous works, then you probably will be disappointed, or maybe just plain surprised, or maybe you will be scared. This is a very spooky, very eerie record, but definitely give it a try. It's beautiful. It also reminds me a lot of, for example, Anna Calvi or Saint Vincent. Boarding house reach in Slovak means penzion dosiahnuť. That sounds like a caveman said that. Why am I doing this again? So, I hope you liked this review. If you did, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook or on Instagram. You can find the links to... You can find the links to both in the comment section below. Let me know in the comment section below if you have heard the record already, if you liked it, if you didn't, if you agreed with me, or if you didn't, or haven't, or whatever. Definitely subscribe for more videos. I'm gonna have my first official music video released very soon, and also my record will come out. It's gonna be progressive rock without guitars. Instead there's drums, bass, saxophone and keyboards, which is pretty unique worldwide, so check it out when it comes out. And thanks a lot for watching. And if there are any bloopers at the end, don't watch them. Don't watch them.
And it's all.
Ešte raz. Toto poviem ešte raz. No, to dáme ešte raz, bo som tak. The fourth track, Abulia, sorry.